After watching the tape, really pleased with how really well our defense certainly played. I mean, that was an outstanding effort, to say the least. I thought we prepared well, and then I thought they really showed up to play. Our offense, at times most of the time we're pretty solid, and seems to be a little bit of lapse in there to kind of stay focused and keep doing what we think we can do, which is play at a high level most of the time. And so, I think overall it was good. That special teams were pretty solid. I thought we did a nice job there. We got a few kicks, punts to return, which we weren't sure we were going to get those opportunities to. And, Dante didn't obviously break anything for a touchdown, but I thought we got some really good field position by him just catching the ball and, getting some of those 15, 16-yard returns, which was really big. So, that was a good game, and we're kind of, already on to the next thing. Arizona State. They got some really talented guys. We're still sorting out what they're all about. Another one of the teams that has a bye in front of us. So that's, a little bit always concerning, especially they have a lot of volume on offense anyways. So they'll have a few more things for us. So onward and upward, here we go.
8 sacks, Chris, and a lot of times you just bring in three guys on the pass rush there too. What does that do for the rest of the defense overall when you can get to the quarterback or make him flush him out of the pocket with just rushing free?
I think I keep saying this probably about every other week, but I think sacks they're not probably as significant as turnovers, but they're probably one of the next most important things. I mean, I know from our side when it happens to us, how it puts us in such a hole, not that you can't get out of it, but it's really, really significant. And then if you can get a bunch of them, I think it just changes the mentality on both sides of the ball.
Feel like a snowball effect. Guys keep getting back there at some point. I think 7 or 8 different guys kind of getting in on it too, where everyone wants a piece of it.
I mean, I think it can. I think it can snowball on both sides. I think that, like I said, if that's happening to us, I mean, you start thinking about calling different plays, and the quarterback's trying to get rid of the ball and those type of things.
Is there any part of you at all that's remotely surprised by the game that Hunter Bryant had in just his 6th game as a college football player?
Yeah. Not really what he did. We've seen it for quite a while. He can really, really catch the ball. I mean, he's, like we've been saying, he's kind of that unique athlete, and he really understands it. He's got tremendous hands. A couple of those catches were, I think Jake threw a couple of really good balls to him, but then a couple of them ran a little out route on the 3rd down, and he really had to reach down by his ankles to get it. And I think you see some of that stuff with him. I think he can go up in high point balls, and I think he can go low. He just got really good range.
We talked about just kind of establishing a second, maybe consistent target along with Dante. Does he kind of seem like the kind of kid that could maybe slide into that role, even in the tight end spot for Jake?
I think he can. I think our tight ends in general, I think the last couple of years everybody's like, oh, they don't use a tight end, and that's not really the case. It's really what we think is, 1, using our talent, and 2, coverage dictates a lot where the ball goes.
Touchdown to Justice Warren, is that something that's been in your bag of tricks for a while?
Yeah, so we've had some stuff, a package, which we really haven't got to a whole bunch. Not just a pass. I mean, usually that's kind of down the line, but he's another guy that can catch pretty well for a big kind of physical guy, defensive end type guy that can catch.
How did you settle on? How and when did you settle on Justice kind of being that de facto fullback that you don't really have on the roster?
I think we looked at him a little bit last year, and I don't think we did anything with it. But he's a guy that he kind of fits the size, speed requirement. He's a pretty pretty big, physical guy that can move his feet pretty well and runs okay. And then having decent hands was a little bit of a bonus.
Chris, have you gotten a sense from your colleagues here in the league that the idea of where the bye weeks land kind of needs to be addressed for next year? Because you're seeing teams like USC and Washington State aren't even getting their bye weeks till literally the last game or not at all.
Yeah, and that's been addressed a little bit already. You know, talking about if the season, I think if the season's a week longer, it starts to help everybody out in terms of, I think you can, I can't remember if everybody gets 2 byes or how it goes, but it looks like it does help some things in terms of that. But then a week longer, I mean, you're into finals, you button right up to bowl games and all those type of things. But yeah, I mean, I think it's really unique that some don't have a bye at all. I think Washington State has a bye right before they play us. USC not at all, like you're saying. Yeah, that's something that I think everybody's already looking at and trying to figure out what's the best solution to that.
Is that something for next year? You're extending the season by a week?
Well, I think that's a thing that has come up. Like, how do you solve this? If you start a week earlier, you know, that type of thing. Which everybody's like, okay, hold on, we're already starting. Like this year, everybody felt it was too early, anyways. These are the different things that are being kicked around, and I don't know if anybody's got a really strong opinion on it. I mean, it's, you know, if you're us, where we have a bye kind of right in the middle of the season, it works out pretty good. I think there's a couple other teams I'm not sure if someone's got 2 byes or not, you know, had something early and then late and then not at all, so that's awkward.
Given your reputation as being someone who's really meticulous in the game planning, would you rather have that as a trade-off to playing 3 teams that are coming off byes, or how would you like to see it?
Rather have what as a trade-off?
In terms of the bye week coming right in the middle of the league, so you have time to maybe prepare for the second half of the season.
Yeah, I think, you know, for us, I mean, obviously, there's no schedule that any coach is going, that's the one I want. But for us on the bye, to have it right somewhere in the middle is a good thing. To have 3 teams that have a bye right before you, that's not ideal. But, you know, we can't worry about the other teams. We just got to worry about our teams. And, you know, for us, it kind of fell at a decent time.
Did Drew Sample get engaged?
I have no idea.
Look at it.
I don't know. You know more than me.
They don't look for your counsel on stuff like that? Players don't?
No.
Chris, I know you don't want to belabor the point, but do you have any regrets about your speaking out about the schedule, considering how ESPN seemed to react?
Not at all. I spoke my mind and move on.
Said on halftime that you and he spoke before the game, and he said you apologized. A, is that true? And B, why?
I did not. We had a quick conversation, and that was kind of that. You know, I did tell him I thought the thing was blown out of proportion, and it was a very quick conversation.
What's your policy about production meetings? That seemed to be.
Yeah, I think I've spoke to everybody since I've been here on the phone. I take as much time as they want, and you know, the media thing is important. I get that, you know, but there's always a line that you got to draw. Like, you know, we got to take care of our team, and we got a bunch of other things to do. And so, you know, since I've been here, I think every week always spoke to the production people for at least a half hour or whatever they want every week.
You feel like you have to stand up for your program and your team when people are attacking the non-players?
Well, what I always think is, and I say this is like a political job, and I'm not really a political guy. I just try to be honest, and there's certain times you know, you do stand up for certain things, and then you move on. I mean, what I need to do is move on and concentrate on Arizona State, and that's the most important thing for us.
You just wanted to see the cupcake thing, or did I assume someone showed that to you later on the field?
It is what it is.
So you won't make any efforts to mend fences with ESPN or anything?
I mean, like I said, we just need to move on. I mean, one of the things I think we try to and do a decent job around here is keeping our players really focused on, you know, what's important. And it's no different for, you know, me or the coaches. I mean, it's easy to get, you know, all caught up in all kinds of stuff that really is not going to help you, you know, win a game on Saturday.
Given how much ESPN dominates the college football industry, do you think there's any downside to, well, pissing them off?
Hey, I don't know about that. I don't have any of the answers and all that stuff. All I know is, the better we do, the better it is for Washington on the field.
Do you feel that there's a part of you that maybe, hopefully, this can generate some legitimate discussion on some of the issues that you've raised, and hopefully will,
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't bring anything up, whether we're talking about whatever, if it's not something that, whether it's a bye week and, those type of things, it is something that you got to look at and see if you can make it better for everybody.
Chris, Gary Anderson's leaving Oregon State. I don't know if you heard that or not.
What?
Yeah, he's out in Corvallis.
They just announced it.
Mutual parting of ways, apparently, is what they're saying now. Does that surprise you? I mean, obviously it does, right? Your reaction there. I mean, when something like that happens in the coaching circle, how do you?
Yeah, that's hard. It's too bad that, at least you can't finish the season, and, I think it's really, really hard on the kids and those type of things. And, we know, hey, this is a tough business. I mean, some of the things we're talking about right before this, and, it can be hard. Yeah, and it seems like things, I always talk about this, the patience level gets shorter and shorter as money and all those things keep getting bigger. Everybody has less tolerance for not getting it done, and that's too bad.
Is there any way to stop that growth of the business that keeps growing and encroaching on academia, or that's just the way it is?
Again, I think that's another, topic that's one of those things that I think, is being discussed, and there's not any easy solutions to, any of these things. There's a lot of people involved, and yeah, it can be hard. So that's a good question. I don't really have the answers there, but I know it just kind of keeps moving a direction of, less impatience and get it fixed now.
If it meant getting scheduling relief, would you be open to considering salary cuts, staffing cuts to get the schools in the black operational to create more leverage with the conference regarding networks and their dictates for scheduling?
Like I said, I mean, I haven't spent a bunch of time thinking about any of this stuff, and I think there's probably people looking at this, to try to keep it all, keep some sort of balance. And I think if there's better ideas out there, everybody's going to be open to new ideas. Yeah.
What do you see on tape from Manny Wilkins?
Yeah. Like I've been saying, it's kind of how our schedule shapes up. Each team has, been the next best team we've played. I mean, it'd be interesting. I guess we're halfway through. Seems like this thing's gone fast. And I think this last half of the season is going to be really, really interesting for a lot of, for everybody, including us, because I think there's just so much parity in this conference. And I think Arizona State has some very good talent. They do some really, really good things on all three phases, give you a lot of problems. And so not only their quarterback, I mean, they have big-time running back, a couple really good running backs. N'Keal Harry, outstanding receiver. So they got some really good skilled guys. I mean, I'm just mentioning some guys, but they got guys that complement these guys as well. And on defense too, they're athletic. They got a couple D linemen that can really go, and linebackers and all those type of things. And so talent-wise, this is a good crew.
Your kicking situation, is there anything there you could?
Yeah, I mean, like I said after the game, I mean, all you can do is just keep the kids really competing and working hard and support them the best they can. I mean, I was proud of how those guys and Tristan worked last week. I was so, disappointed that he didn't make it for him, if nothing else, because he was really, really on. And so was Van. You know, those guys both did a nice job. And so we'll just keep working, and eventually it'll show up on the game field. So we'll compete again this week and kind of see where we are.
Is there any advantage to telling Van or Tristan, you are the guy for the game Saturday?
And we'll tell them that before. Certainly we go out onto the field on, you know, Thursday, something like that, so they can kind of, but we just want them to compete for a few days and then kind of say, hey, give this guy the nod and see how it goes.
I know you only had the one experience down there 2 years ago, but is there something unique about playing ASU down there? Because Washington hasn't won there since 2001. Is it just a unique
I can't answer that. You know, I just know the one time that we were down there, you know, play a good team, and that's what I think. I think they have good teams and they have talent down there, and I think that's kind of how Arizona State's been for a long time. I mean, I paid attention to them, you know, since Dirk Cutter had been the coach there, and you know, I know the type of talent that they can get at Arizona State and the things that they do, and even before Dirk was there, when I was, you know, way back when, an assistant in this league, I mean, they always just seem to be a tough team. Yeah. So I don't know what it is about playing, you know, down there.
I was going to say, much like Jeff Tedford working here last year, they've got Dave Christensen. Have you noticed anything on tape that it kind of is a Christensen influence in terms of what they've done?
Not so much. I think their offense is, you know, the same style that they've always run. It's very similar to what they've always run, but there is a unique, you know, Alabama flavor for sure, where the coordinator has come from. But I think those two were similar anyways, and that's, you know, that's the fit and why Coach Graham hired him, I'm sure. And so they do what they do with definitely some, you know, unique wrinkles that they didn't do in the past.
You are halfway through the season, 6 games in. How would you reflect, how would you rate the way the team shaped up so far?
Yeah, I think each week we've kind of grown in certain areas, and I mean, that's kind of what it's all about. You know, there's certain things every game we come out of or like that just didn't feel right or look right, and how do we get better from that? And so each week I think the kids have really responded, and but I think as we move forward here, I think we're going to I really do. I think we're going to be tested like we haven't been tested. I mean, I think we're always surprised during certain games. I mean, we always get that. You know, I think that's part of the coaching thing. It's like, how does that happen? You know, we had, you know, that punt that, you know, that hit their guy and Ben Burkherb jumped on it. You know, he thought it hit one of our guys, but I go back to Dante trying to get everybody away. I mean, there's certain things that we've spent time working on and talking about and looking at, and all those things that you don't think are going to show up for you, and then there it is. So that happens every game.
The touchdown to Justice Saturday looked like the play to Saul. I think the other was at Stanford last year.
Yeah.
Was it the same?
It was similar. Yeah, it was pretty similar.
Maybe talk a little about Justice and just kind of.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think he's a unique athlete that, you know, is getting better on defense. Can do some things on special teams, and I think he could be a fullback if we really used a fullback a bunch, and we just haven't done that. You know, we kind of use our tight ends a little bit like that. That's kind of a little bit more of the direction we go, but if we were going to line up and do more with a fullback, I certainly think he could be a good true fullback.
Is Victor healthy?
He is, yeah, he is. And, you know, like I said before, I mean, I think our linebackers are playing pretty good. I mean, I think we got a group of them, and you know, Coach Gregory's rotating all those guys in and kind of letting them compete in those things. And but yeah, he is.
I know he's moved into a couple different positions this year. Has he found a role this year?
We know he can, you know, play linebacker, and so we're trying to get our best guys, you know, on the field in terms of certain packages and what they can do physically, you know, what their best thing is physically. And then also, I mean, as strange as it seems, there is a lot of complexity in terms of assignments and those things when we move a guy, and it's very hard to just put a guy out there without giving him a lot of reps and what he can do to expand a package. And so, you know, we're just trying to, we're always tinkering and trying to tweak and get our best guys on there and try to figure out who can, you know, I think Azim is, you know, I think he's unique where he can do a couple different things. I think he could play off the edge, and he certainly can play inside.
I know football players are largely self-motivated, but do you feel obligated to do stuff extra with the scout team guys, the guys that are kind of down on the roster, to kind of keep them engaged, guys that maybe see 5-6 plays a year that kind of, you know, show you their heart and soul in this program?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think those guys are really important. And I think about, you know, one of the group I really think about is our scout offensive line. I mean, we have, you know, you always have 5 offensive linemen. You know, at other positions, there's 2 guys you got to. So usually those scout offensive linemen take about every rep on a scout team in practice at kind of a thankless position. And so, you know, we try to do, we always have our scouters of the week and call those guys out in a real, you know, positive way. But I think, and we put a lot of pressure on those guys as well to practice well. We're only as good as our scout teams. You know, in fact, you know, we have kind of different styles of practicing, and Thursday is not as physical as some of the other days. And if the scout team doesn't really pick the tempo up and practice how we need them to, the practice is not very good. And so those guys really dictate a lot how practice goes. They really can. I mean, if we're not getting a look and the tempo's not right, I mean, we're not getting any better at all. And so, I mean, those guys, that's a whole story in itself in terms of how important those guys are and what they do.
Does Wilkins remind you of anyone that you guys have played this year?
Go through the games. No, not so much. You know, last year he was pretty banged up. I think by the time he played us, you know, I think he does a really nice job, and they use him really well in their offense because he can throw it, but they also keep you really honest in the run game. I mean, he will definitely pull the ball, and then in the pass game too, if things break down, he can get out of things and scramble. I mean, he's a hard guy to tackle. So we haven't seen anybody like him yet thus far. Good. Okay.